Hey guys, and welcome back. This is going to be my final video on solving equations, and today we are focusing on radical equations. Hey guys, and welcome back. This has been a long journey on solving equations, and this is our final one. I'm going to show you how to solve radical equations in 5 steps. The first one of those steps is going to be to isolate the radical, which is the square root symbol you see on your equation. Step number 2 would be to raise your entire equation to the nth power, whatever power the radical has. And then next step number 3, is going to be for you to simplify your equation a little bit. Next, you're going to have to isolate the variable x, or whichever variable you're asked to solve for. And our last step, very last one, is going to be for you to check your answers. And this is going to be a very important step for radicals, because more than often, one of the solutions is not going to be working out. All right, let me give you the first example here. So you're going to have the square root of 3x plus 18 equals x. So the first step here is to isolate the radical. And as you can see here, the radical is already on one side of our equation. Next step is going to be to raise our entire equation to the nth power. So because we are looking at the square root here, square, which is 2, we're going to raise our entire equation to the power of 2. So our n here is 2, basically. So if you do that, the square root is going to cancel on the left side. So we're going to have only 3x plus 18 equals to x squared. Next, we just simplify it a little bit. So we can move to isolating our variable, which means to solve our equation. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3x on both sides. Also subtract 18 on both sides. So what I'm going to have is going to be 0 equals to x squared minus 3x minus 18. Now, since this is a quadratic equation, all I need to do here is look for two numbers that are going to add up to negative 3 and multiply to negative 18. And those two numbers are going to be negative 6 and 3. So I'm going to rewrite this as x minus 6 times x plus 3 equals 0, which would finally give me x equals 6 and x equals negative 3. And so since I have these two solutions, I'm going to have to do my last step here because it's very important. I'm going to go ahead and plug these into my original equation to see if they work out. So starting with 6 here, I'm going to plug it in and get the square root of 3 times 6 plus 18 equals to 6. So now your goal here is to reduce this expression, evaluate it, so that at the end you see if you have a true statement or a false statement. Here you're going to have 3 times 6 is going to be 18, plus 18 will give you 36. So you're going to have the square root of 36 equals 6, which is going to be 6 equals to 6, which is a true statement, so that's good. That means that x equals 6 is actually a solution for this particular equation. Next, let's go ahead and test also negative 3. So we're going to have the square root of 3 in parentheses negative 3 plus 18 equals to 6. 3 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 9, plus 18 will give us 9. So we're going to have the square root of 9 equals 6, which will simplify to 3 equals 6, which is not a true statement, and so that means negative 3 is not part of our solution. And so our only solution here is going to be x equals 6, ignoring x equals negative 3. Let's look at more examples to make this sink in. Our next example here is going to be the square root of 2x plus 19 minus 8 equals to x. First things first, let's isolate the radical. So we're going to have to add 8 on both sides of our equations. That's going to give us the square root of 2x plus 19 equals to x plus 8. And so since we're looking for the square root here, which means 2, so we're going to have to raise the whole equation to the power of 2. And so that will give us, on the left side here, the square root is going to cancel with the power. We're going to be left with 2x plus 19. On the right side, we're going to have x plus 8 times x plus 8, i.e. x plus 8 squared. So now we have to simplify our equation. On the left side here, we're still going to have 2x plus 19, but on the right side, we're going to have to FOIL. So we're going to have x times x is x squared, x times 8 is 8x, 8 times x is 8x again, and 8 times 8 is 64. Now let's go ahead and isolate our variable and basically solve for x. We're going to have to subtract 2x on both sides, also 19 on both sides, and that will give us 0 equals to x squared, and 8x plus 8x minus 2x will give us 14x, and 64 minus 19 will give us 45. Now all we have to do here, since this is a quadratic equation, is look for two numbers that are adding up to 14 and multiplying to 45. Those two numbers are going to be 9 and 5. So we're going to have as our factor x plus 9 and x plus 5 equal to 0. With that, we know that x should be equal to negative 9, or x should be equal to negative 5. So very last step, which is important, let's check our answers. So starting with negative 9 here, we're going to plug it in. So we're going to get the square root of 2 times negative 9 plus 19 minus 8 equals to negative 9. Now, in the square root here, 2 times 9 is going to be 18 negative, plus 19 will give us 1. So the square root of 1 here is just 1. And so we're getting 1 minus 8 equals to negative 9, which is going to give us negative 7 equals negative 9, which is not correct. And let's check the second answer. We're going to have the square root of 2 times negative 5 plus 19 minus 8 equals minus 5. 2 times 5 is going to give us 10 negative, plus 19 will give us 9. And so the square root of 9 here is going to be giving us 3 minus 8 equals to negative 5. And that will give us 3 minus 8 is negative 5 equals negative 5, which works out. And so for this particular problem, x equals negative 5 is our solution, and x equals 9 is extraneous. So we can go ahead and ignore that solution. Very last example, let's look for something a little bit more complicated, a little bit more complex. So we're going to have here the square root of x plus 8 minus the square root of x minus 4 equals 2. So whenever you have two terms with the radical on top of them, you can still go ahead and do the 5 steps. So you have to first isolate the square root. Since there's two of them here, we're going to put one of them on one side of the equation and the other one on the other side of the equation. So we're going to do that and have the square root of x plus 8 equals to 2 plus the square root of x minus 4. Then we're going to go ahead and square both sides of our equation, which is going to give us x plus 8 on this side, and on the other side we're going to have 2 plus the square root of x minus 4 times 2 plus the square root of x minus 4. Notice that in this particular side here, the square root on top of x minus 4 cannot cancel directly with the square. That will be a mistake. Instead, because there's a 2 here attached to the other root by an addition sign, we have to go ahead and FOIL this over. And so what we're going to have here is x plus 8 on this left side, and on the right side we're going to have 2 times 2, which is 4, 2 times square root of x minus 4, which is 2 root x minus 4. Again, x minus 4 times 2 is 2 root x minus 4. And finally, root x minus 4 times root x minus 4 would now give us x minus 4 without the root this time. We're going to go ahead and simplify this, and we're going to notice that 4 and negative 4 here would cancel. Then we can do minus x on both sides of our equation, which would also cancel out. And so all we have left is 8 on the left side, and on the right side we have 2 root x minus 4 and another 2 root x minus 4. Together, that makes 4 root x minus 4. Divide by 4 on both sides, you're going to have 2 equals to the square root of x minus 4. Now, at this point, you realize that you just went back to another radical equation. So what you need to do here is go back and do the 5 steps again for this particular equation. Step 1 is done because it's already isolated. Step 2 is going to be to raise both sides of the equation by 2. So we can do that here. That will make the 2 here being 2 squared, which is 4. And then on the other side here, the root is going to cancel with the power, giving us x minus 4. And finally, we can go ahead and simplify / isolate the variable x, which is going to give us, if we add 4 on both sides of our equation, x equals 8. And final step, check our answers, always. So we're going to go ahead and plug this 8 into our original equation. That will give us the square root of 8 plus 8 minus the square root of 8 minus 4 equals 2. Let's go ahead and evaluate the expression on the left side to see if we get 2. 8 plus 8 is going to give us 16, and minus 8 minus 4 is going to give us 4, equals to 2. Finally, square root of 16 is 4, square root of 4 is 2, so 4 minus 2 equals 2, which is a true statement. And so now we can go ahead and say, oh, x equals 8 is our solution for this particular radical equation, and we will be done. And this concludes our series of 5 videos on solving equations. And I'll see you guys next time. Alright guys, that is it for now. The link for this note is always going to be in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Also, follow me on my other social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at Franck's Note, and I will see you in the next video.